Hey guys, it's Magaz here, connecting you to airsoft. So today we're going to be taking a look at my brain bucket, the PTS replica of the MTEK Flux. It is a premium airsoft helmet that offers some basic impact protection if you're an idiot like me and you like to just fall off stuff and bang your head on things. It is also a really solid platform to mount night vision from, and also a GoPro. First thing first, it's quite a heavy helmet. I'm not entirely sure of the weight, but I will put it up on the screen. But if you are not used to wearing a helmet, if you're wearing like one of the cheaper airsoft replica helmets, stuff like wish.com or whatever, if you put this on your head, you'll feel the difference. It is super solid. I guess that speaks to its premium build quality. It does offer a lot of impact protection. I've hit my head wearing this several times and come off a lot better than I would have done if I was wearing just like a plastic Pasget helmet or just a basic bitch wish.com helmet. The design of this helmet is basically, it's a high coat helmet similar to like a bump helmet. So it's not, the real helmet is designed to have ballistic protection, but obviously this is a replica, so it doesn't. So just treat it like a bump helmet. Up front, we have your standard night vision mount, the center of which is metal. The actual shroud itself is polymer. I know a lot of people who are going to be mounting 10 to 15,000 pound night vision optics to this are probably going to frown on that. But if you do want to replace this, you could pick up the actual proper MTEK shroud and swap it out just by removing the screws and throwing the new one on, so it shouldn't be an issue. But that being said, I have found this to be very solid. I mount GoPros to it all the time. Obviously they're significantly lighter than a set of night vision, but I think I'd be comfortable to mount night vision to this. That being said, I haven't forked out a few months' wage, so I guess I can't really weigh in on that. The rails on the side are different than your standard arc rails. They are MLOK, so you can attach basically anything that goes onto an MLOK rail onto it. This is where I experienced a little bit of an issue initially when I was going to put my ear pro on. The ear pro I'm using is the Amazon special Zohan Active Ear Pro. This is really good for budget ear protection. Doesn't work as comms unless you insert a 3.5mm jack into a mic, which is what I do. But they're great for 25, 30 quid ear pro that you can just throw on a helmet or use at the range or whatever. Actually attaching these was a pain in the ass. I couldn't find a replica MLOK mount to fit these on. So I was looking at the actual MTEK helmet mount, which was more than the actual helmet cost. I wasn't going to go down that route. I was looking at things like the hard head veterans option, which again was probably about 60 quid, plus import duties and postage from the US. Didn't want to go down that route. None of the arc ones would fit. You can get MLOK adapters to the arc rail, but then it means the mount is sat out really stupid and you got all this knobbly stuff up here. I wanted it to be as low profile as I could. Ideally, I would have got some amp headphones, ear pro, which mount on down here, which make it a lot more low profile. But again, very expensive. I was trying to keep this as cheap as possible. So I found these guys. These were a Chinese replica of a different kind of mount that again is supposed to go in arc rails. So I saw these and figured I could take off the actual arc adapters and then just bolt them to the Flux rails. So that's basically what I did. There is a whole friggin' story about that though. When these arrived, they had little grooves that would line up with the arc rails, and then they had these little things that you put in, turn 90 degrees and it would clamp in place. Now, they wouldn't fit on this, so I had to remove all the twisty things and then using a craft knife or a Stanley knife, cut off these plastic grooves from the back, these like locking lines which are supposed to keep them from sliding about, I guess. It was late one weekend night. I decided I'd just sit at my desk and just slowly, carefully cut this plastic off using this brand new super sharp blade. I was kind of holding it so I was going this way initially, and I'm like, if I slip, I'm going straight into the web of my hand here and that will fucking suck. So I turned it around and started doing it this way. And the second I applied pressure, I immediately slipped and then stuck the knife straight through my thumb. A lot of blood immediately pissing out. It went in. It felt like 3 seconds of me sat there with this knife that was deep into my thumb. I'm sure it went into bone. It went so fucking deep. I just took a breath and I'm like, didn't even hurt. It was so weird. It just went in. Didn't hurt. It was just in. And I was like, I have to take this out, but it's going to bleed everywhere. So I pulled it out the same way it went in, just straight back out. And then sure enough, blood just pissing down here. So I just gripped my thumb, kind of held my head above, over my head, stepped into the room my favourite MILF was in and said, could you just help me with some first aid if you wouldn't mind? And then I just went off to the bathroom just to drip blood. And then my wife wrapped it up as best she could and then drove me to A&E at like midnight, which was great. So I'm like holding my thumb in the car like this. The bandage was so tight, it was going purple, but there's still blood leaking out of it. Walked into A&E and it was the best trip to A&E ever. I mean, no trip to A&E is good really, is it? But I was sat there, it was like a Friday night and it was after midnight. And for some reason, the waiting room was just empty. There was just myself and two old ladies. And these two old ladies were on the same row of chairs as me and they were talking. And there was this TV show on, some kind of like rerun of Antique Roadshow or some shit. And then a show that a lot of British people know, Naked Attraction, came on. Naked Attraction, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like a dating game show, like Blind Date or some shit, but entirely the fucking opposite. Whereas Blind Date, you don't get to see the person you're dating until they're like, hey, this is me. They just get the dick out and you're like, I like that dick, I'll have that one. Basically the show. So this particular episode of the show, a friend of mine was on it. My friend looks like if you buy Thor from wish.com. Anyway, so he's on TV with his dick out. And these two old ladies are like, ooh, he's all right, isn't he? And I'm like, that's my mate, that. I'm like, what? I'm like, yep, that's my mate. I've seen that thing in real life. And they're like, oh, fantastic. Well, I got called in then to the thing. So I'm like, oh, excuse me, ladies. Enjoy the show. Went off and they basically super glued my thumb back together and sent me on my way. So it wasn't a bad trip, but it wasn't a great trip. So I guess the moral of this story is if you want to do this, don't do that. But yeah, so once I had nearly sliced half my thumb off and saw my friends wand on TV, I ended up with basically a perfectly serviceable set of Ear Pro on my helmet. The only downsides to this is these, while they cost 10, 12 quid, they did come from China. It took about 6 weeks for them to arrive, so there was a big period of time where I didn't have any Ear Pro on my helmet, so I couldn't effectively use it. Inside, let's take a look at the padding inside the inserts. So when it arrives, you get a shitload of different padding, and the helmet is quite on the large side. As you probably already know by now, I'm a bit of a hobbit. Everything about me, most things about me, are quite short and quite small, including my head, not that head, this one. I basically had to use every piece of padding to get it so it fits and sits snugly on my head without wobbling about. Now, I didn't realize when I ordered this helmet when I first bought it, there weren't a lot of reviews online. There was basically nothing explaining this, and it wasn't really apparent on the website I bought it from. It doesn't have the adjustment thing at the back that 60% of helmets have every time. So you know the thing that goes here and kind of presses against the back of your head there, and you just, and it tightens it up, and then it holds your helmet on, and you're like, there we go, that's not going to fall off, perfect. When it arrived, it didn't have that. I was like, fuck, how's this going to fit? Which is why I had to mess about it for ages with all this padding, changing it about, putting it in different places to try and get it to sit in the right place. So the cons to this are, it's difficult to adjust the size and fit of this helmet. It's basically once you've got the padding in, that's it. There's no amendments from that point onwards. But the pros are this padding is so thick and soft. It is like some of the best helmet padding, or the best stock helmet padding I've ever seen. Obviously you can get much better helmet padding that's aftermarket, which is to be expected, but for out of the box, just default helmet padding, I'd say this is pretty fucking good. I would have loved to have had the adjuster on the back though, and I'm still kind of in two minds whether to try and find one that I can aftermarket attach to this and maybe change out the entire suspension system for one of those. But for the time being, this does the job really well, and I'm pretty happy now. I've put the time in to actually fit it properly. It's a really solid fitting helmet. Now, onto the rest of the situation here. This, obviously here is the strap. Nice chin strap here. It's adjustable by these little pulley bits here like this. Basically pull it like that and then cinch it off. Yeah, it does the job. It's nothing to write home about, usually not wearing it like that. But yeah, remember, secure that chin strap because that helmet isn't yours to use. That helmet belongs to every Marine.
That Kevlar wasn't yours to lose! That was the property of this United States Marine Corps! Belonged to every Marine!
Obviously, when you're talking about helmet, you've got to get those Gunnery Sergeant 6th Generation Code references in there somewhere, right? On top of the helmet, I've got a basic bitch helmet cover. This one is in AOR 1. Which version of AOR is the desert one? I can never remember because I fucking hate this pattern. Oh, you hate this pattern, then why have you got it on your helmet? Because I was going to a game with a group of guys that I like to play with. They always wear AOR, I'm sure this is AOR 1. So joining with their team, I basically just put the AOR 1 helmet on there. It was like about £6 off Amazon. It is an absolute basic bitch Chinese knockoff helmet cover. And I didn't think it was going to fit on the helmet. I thought I was going to have to do some modification, but it fits really nice. And adds a lot of additional features to the exterior of the helmet. Like for instance, on the side here, I've got my name flashes on both sides, which I've had since 2004. Those little Magaz Velcro Flectoin name tapes that came from flectoin.co.uk, which used to be my favourite cert website ever. Just so much gear on there. Not quite as much now. Still worth checking out if you're looking for something in particular. And then on the back, I have a basic bitch counterweight pouch. Now this did have the retention tabs here, which you'd attach it onto. Both of those got shot out. So you can tell it's a cheap Chinese one because obviously they both got shot out. I have a second one of these that's much better, but I haven't fit it to this helmet. I bought that one to use as a counterweight pouch for my second GoPro for whoever's rolling alongside me to put on their helmet. So basically all I ever put in this, it came with a bunch of like fucking janky lead weights, which I immediately ate. And basically I just put a power bank in there. Cable comes out here, runs up under this, through here to the GoPro up front, and then allows me to power my GoPro all day off one battery without having to worry about batteries running out and changing them out, all that bullshit. And I was initially worried that because the lock points had snapped off, that it was going to go missing, but it's got really powerful hook Velcro on there and it's on the loop, and I made sure to put this elastic retention from the helmet cover through this, so if it does come off, it's still going to be suspended by this shock cord. So obviously there's a lot of Velcro on there for, like if you put an IR light, an indicator light on there or whatever, or if you want to mount a contour camera or something to this, or a Mohawk camera. A lot of space on there for stuff and things, which is great. Underneath it, it does have a bunch of Velcro. The helmet does come with Velcro mounting options. When you get it, the helmet is completely nude. None of the Velcro is on there, so you've got to line it up perfectly with where it should be, which is one of those shitbricks moments because you're like, I've got one chance at doing this right. If I do it wrong, it's going to be wonky and I'm going to look like a dickhead for the rest of the time. But I managed to get it done right first time, no factor, and it wasn't an issue. It's basically it. You'll notice at the front here I've got some sniper tape around the front. This is because sometimes if I'm running, if I'm wearing my JT mask, it taps against the front of this. You can see here where it is tapped. It's actually marked. And I can't stand that noise, so I added some sniper tape to see if it just silenced that a little bit. It kind of looks cool. It does go a little way to silence that impact from the mask or the goggles hitting that. But yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, that's how it looks when I wear it with my Ear Pro. I do need to tweak the Ear Pro slightly because it doesn't close all the way in as far as I need it to, but it still covers my ears and stops me getting shot in the ears, which I guess is the main point. But yeah, there's the helmet. I'm really happy with it. It's a super cool helmet. I'm gonna actually get a while back I made my own helmet cover It's before I owned this one, so I had no helmet covers or pattern, so I just basically got a bunch of A4 paper and started drawing a pattern out and kind of making it how I thought it should be. Bit of a shit show, but it kind of worked. I'm going to make another one based on this pattern in Peacock Hybrid DPM, which the other one was in, but obviously that one will look a lot better. It'll look closer to this and it'll fit a lot better, hopefully. But I've found one for I think it's about 10-15 quid in Woodland DPM. I think it's Combat UK that make it, so I'm going to pick that one up. So I've got a DPM helmet cover. But I might talk to USV Gear about making one in Bahrain DPM, Dragon DPM, something like that. I don't know. There we go. That's my helmet setup. If you've got any questions on this particular setup, drop them down below and I will do my best to answer them. If you've enjoyed this video, you want to see more content like this, go ahead, hit the thumbs up button, leave a like. Let's try and break the 69 likes goal on this video. If you want to see more content in your subscription feed, obviously hit that subscribe button. Hit the real subscribe button, which is that fucking bell right next to it. Hit that as well. Be one of the cool kids who gets those notifications. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, like these bad boys right here, head over to patreon.com/cbnpc and join the minimum tier for as little as $1 a month. That's this video. If you want to see more kit reviews or more overviews on other gear, check out this playlist right here. It is full of pretty much everything that I have reviewed in the past, from kit bags to guns to random pantaloons, just to random stuff that is useful in the airsoft field. Or check out this gameplay video here, which is filmed from a camera mounted to this very helmet. As always, I'm Magaz. Thanks for watching, and remember kids, the air may be soft, but our balls are hard.